I play percussion, so a lot of different instruments. Xylophone to drums, triangle, tambourine, keyboard.
Hannah Lopresto became interested in band in the 5th grade. For the studious kid, she says it gave her a break.
I was pretty anxious and stressed always about getting good grades. So I think that's why I gravitated so much towards having at least one class in my schedule that was a little more lighthearted and easy.
Her freshman year at Egan High School, she'd be introduced to a band director named Brett Benson.
He was extra charismatic and exuberant and just really magnetic.
As a percussion student, she had private lessons with him. And when she says he started paying extra attention to her, she initially liked it.
That told me I was special, that I was intelligent, that I was pretty. He would say things like, "You're wise beyond your years, you seem so much older than you actually are." To have an adult that I looked up to say those things to me made me feel really good and gave me confidence.
She says that attention only grew. Lopresto says so did his affection. It's detailed in an Egan police report taken as part of a larger investigation into Benson's alleged conduct with students. Lopresto had a survivor support dog at her feet during our interview.
And just started putting his hands on my shoulders, or just his language would start to change into being more as if he was romantically interested.
Over time, she says she isolated from friends and says he'd call her out of other classes so they could meet.
It felt like I couldn't get out of it. And it was so shameful and bad, and it felt icky. But he was also like my best friend in a way, too, at the time. He had pulled me away from my friends and my family and became the person that I talked to the most every single day.
Phone records Lopresto shared with us reflect that. On a senior band trip to Greece, Lopresto says things progressed. She says he'd pull her away from the group and orchestrated the two sitting next to each other on the plane. Other educators recounted similar concerns to police.
It was all these things that at the time felt like coincidences, but now that I know were clearly curated that way intentionally. He kept saying things like, "Things are going to be different when you're 18. There's things I wish I could tell you now that I can't, that I'll tell you when you're 18.
She says he gave her this framed photo from the Greece trip for her 18th birthday. The police report shows the picture was found on Benson's phone. And she says the band director used God when he talked about their connection.
Saying, "God wants this to happen. You need to fulfill this role for this grand plan that is playing out." That just increased in intensity the closer and closer it got to graduation, to the point where he implied that I had to marry him, and that after everything that had happened over those years, that I didn't really have a choice.
Lopresto says things escalated further when he called her to the band room as her senior year was winding down. What she says happened is stated in the police report.
I was sexually assaulted on my last day of high school, and it was at 7:30 in the morning. He put his hands down the back of my pants and down the front of my shirt. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I started crying, and he, I think, immediately got afraid that I was going to tell somebody, or he had never gotten that reaction out of me before. And I just said, I want a pass to go to my class. And I just wanted to leave and get out of there. And he wrote me a pass, and he just kept saying, "Everything is fine. I want to make sure you're okay."
She says that day and the following day at graduation were a blur.
He kept apologizing and saying he was sorry. I just remember feeling very numb. I had to perform at the graduation itself. I was so out of it that I played my part in the wrong song. I felt so afraid and like it was my fault what happened. And I didn't know what was going to happen next because I still thought I had to marry this person.
The police report revealed a text from Benson to his parents that day writing, An incident with a student this morning that once again is causing me anxiety, and I'm not handling it well. Also described in the police report, text between Benson and his now wife about an inappropriate relationship with a student. The detective writes in the police report, the sexual contact was not consensual in nature due to Brett's grooming behaviors that started freshman year of high school. Benson, who was not charged, provided a statement. It reads in part, I vehemently deny any allegations of wrongdoing. I deeply cared for the well-being of every student I have ever taught. Lopresto is nearly a decade removed from the day she says she was sexually assaulted at school. She says she can more clearly see she was being groomed.
It just makes me see how vulnerable young people are to, especially a person in a position of power, and just how much your brain changes and how much you grow.
Do you feel like he knew what he was doing was wrong?
Yeah, looking back, I think he knew. He was very intelligent. He knew what he could and couldn't get away with.
You just heard Hannah's story in her own words. Benson was placed on administrative leave during the police investigation. He later resigned. In a document provided by Benson's attorney, it says a Minnesota Department of Education investigation about another student concluded maltreatment did not occur. Investigators could not talk with Hannah for their report. You can read Benson's full statement at WCCO.com. Jennifer Mayerle, WCCO Investigates.